On today's episode of the podcast, I'll be catching you up on all of my current works in progress, and if you stick around until the end of the episode, I'll be sharing with you how this could be yours. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, though I do get up to other fiber-related topics from time to time. I'm coming to you from Henderson, Nevada, a small town outside of Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Southwest United States. This is where I'm from and where I live with my husband Brandon, our two boys, Angus and Ronan, our dog Pepper, and our cat Oscar. If you are a returning viewer and subscriber, welcome back. Thank you so much for taking the time to see what I have going on over here in Wool Needles Hands territory. And if you are a new viewer and subscriber, welcome. I hope you find something here that brings you joy or inspiration or just gives you an opportunity to take a load off and chill for a bit. I have a lot of things to share with you guys today, but before we get into all of that, a couple of things to jump off the episode. I am drinking coffee out of my Not Now coffee mug, which is available in the Wool Needles Hands merch shop, which features a really kind of elegantly disinterested portrait of this young individual here, painted by yours truly. These are available in the merch shop, and yeah, just drinking coffee to get me through this latter part of the morning. My husband and the boys are out vacuum shopping because our current vacuum just bit the dust. No pun intended. Hopefully they arrive back soon with a nice shiny new vacuum, but we shall see. Okay, before I get into all of this, I want to share with you a quick admin update. And this is actually something that I think you're going to find rather helpful. You're going to notice me popping up a little square symbol that looks like this. This is called a QR code. If you take your phone and you open up the camera app on your phone, and all you have to do is take your phone and put it over that little symbol so that the camera focuses on it. You don't actually have to take a photo of it. It's going to provide you with a link that takes you off to my show notes. I know a lot of you guys watch the show from a smart TV and not necessarily from a mobile device where you have the description box right there for you. And instead of having to pull out your mobile device, open up YouTube while you're watching YouTube on your smart TV, this way what you can do is just take your mobile device, focus it on the QR code, pop open my show notes. It's all right there. All of the links will be listed and you can just tap as you go. If I talk about something and you see the link on the show notes, tap on it. There it is. You can look at it as I speak about it. It's convenient. I know getting to that description box can be kind of a pain in the A. It's just hard. Sometimes you try to tap on the more and you accidentally tap on a hashtag. It's just a whole thing. And I understand. And that's also why I put the links to the things I mentioned here in the first pinned comment under the video. But this is just another route that might make it a little bit more convenient while you're watching here on a smart TV. Show notes are now also going to be accessible over at the Wool Needles Hands website, which is woolneedleshands.com. There will be a page at the top of the website that says show notes. If that page is not there immediately upon viewing this, right when it goes live, just know that it will be there. I might be in the process of just getting it up there, but it will be there. But the link will take you to today's show notes as you watch. And then if you happen to head over to woolneedleshands.com, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter, which goes out every month. And as many of you already know, I am the owner and dyer of Fiber for the People hand-dyed yarn. That is my business. That is my colorful fiber love child. You can check out more about Fiber for the People by heading over to fiberforthepeople.com or finding me on Instagram at fiber.for.the.people. There is a shop update coming this Saturday, March 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Learn all about that by visiting all the links for Fiber for the People down below or follow the QR code. Okay, this is a project bag heavy episode because I have been blessed with some new, fun, and shiny, gorgeous project bags. Know going into this that these project bags are an investment. Some of these I did not pay for with my own money, full transparency, full disclosure. However, they've been provided to me as an offering of thanks and gratitude for speaking previously about project bags by these same makers that I have purchased with my own money. At the very end of the episode, one of these project bags can become yours, so you're going to want to stick around for that. So just enjoy the parade of some really fun, shiny new project bags. If you see something here that catches your eye and you're in the market for a beautiful new project bag, all the links are provided for you, and I vouch for every single thing that I'm sharing with you here today, for the quality, for the craftsmanship, for the beauty. Take that for what it is, but just know what I share with you today is worth the investment should you be in the market for it. Let's go ahead and dive into the first thing that I want to share with you today. Now, I should be sharing with you a finished object, which is my socks for dad that I have been talking all about on the podcast. However, they're not here with me today because they are on my dad's cozy toes. I'm hoping, if he's not, out gallivanting with his golf buddies. They're with my dad. I couldn't hold on to them any longer for the sake of just being able to share them on the podcast. I wanted him to have those socks. So I'm going to find some photos. Actually, if you watch my previous video upload, no, I didn't. I think I cut that part out. Here's a quick clip that I meant to include in my previous video where I do a quick share of my socks for dad so you can kind of get a gist of what they look like. They're absolutely gorgeous. They fit him perfectly and he loves them. So without further ado, here's just like a quick blurb of my socks for dad. These are the one socks that I knit for my dad. I'm going to be sharing these on the podcast upcoming, but here they are. It's just a really classic vanilla sock pattern. I knit those using Patton's Croy in the turquoise stripes colorway. I was kind of following the one sock pattern by Kate Atherley. All of this is linked down below. I made some modifications, and once I get all of my Ravelry project pages updated, which is a goal for me for March, that information will be there. But if you want to know more about those socks, go back and watch previous episodes of the podcast. If you haven't already, a binge sesh might be in order. That's where you'll hear me talk more about those socks, but I'm happy to have them finished. They were fun to knit. They took a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but I'm just especially happy to have them with my dad so that he can keep his toesies warm as the weather takes a strange dip here in February and March. Okay, now that those are off the needles, I immediately wanted to cast onto another pair of socks to kind of have them on the go. So this is, what I don't think I have though, is the label for this yarn. It's a discontinued yarn by Plymouth Yarn Company. I share it in the last episode of the podcast. It's a 75-25 sock yarn, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's beautiful. I am knitting these 2 at a time, and I have kind of a funny story to tell you about that. So the yarn I'm using looks like this. It's kind of a mess right now. It's really beautiful. Now, you see how these look different? Let's talk about that for a second. So I just recently uploaded a short to the channel where I shared with you how I split yarn in half in order to knit socks 2 at a time so that I have 2 separate cakes from which to knit each sock, and also so that the colors on those cakes coordinate so that each sock comes out looking the same. So that was the video that I shared, and I actually used that yarn to demonstrate my method for that. But I was disappointed to start knitting my socks only to have this happen. So I don't know if you can tell, but they are not identical. This sock right here is much more purple at the top. This sock doesn't even have any of that purple happening. So the words that I used to describe my technique for splitting yarn in half were correct. The practice and the actual application of those words on my part were incorrect. I had done something wrong, and so those 2 little cakes of yarn that I share in that video, I thought they were ready to go. I thought they were going to knit up so that the colors came out onto the sock in the same order, but I was wrong. That's not what's happening here. So I kind of screwed the pooch on that. But you know what? It's okay. I'm just going to get over it because I feel like it doesn't matter. So these are my socks that I have. I am just knitting a plain vanilla sock. A plain vanilla sock is just a basic sock with no intricate stitch design. It is essentially my personal recipe for a plain stockinette sock, and it's a stockinette sock through and through. The foot of the sock is stockinette, the leg of the sock is stockinette, the heel might be something different, but it's essentially just my recipe, which is a 64 stitch sock. I'm knitting this cuff on a size 0, and I'm knitting the rest of the sock on a size 1. I plan on doing for these socks a heel flap and gusset, but I may change my mind. I kind of figure that every time I knit socks, I'm going to shake up how I do the heel of the sock. I'm thinking about doing a heel flap and gusset. I may end up just going to that boomerang heel that I did for my dad's socks because I really loved that. We shall see when I get to that point. I'm only knitting, I think that the cuff depth here is about 1.5 inches. When I did my dad's socks, I did about 2.5 inches of a cuff depth, almost 3 inches. I wanted something really long, But for this, I'm choosing to make it a little bit more shallow, not quite as deep of a cuff, just because I think that looks nice. The way that I wear my socks, I tend to not wear them pulled up really tight on my leg. I kind of like to scrunch them down and have them be more like sweaters for my feet, if you will. I don't know why I feel like this contributes to that aesthetic, but I just kind of like the way it looks. So yeah, these are my two socks. They're not twins, but they're sisters, as some folks like to say, you know, despite me using this as an example on how to get your cakes looking the same. What can you do? You know, I'm only human. But that is my on-the-go vanilla socks that I'm enjoying having kind of there for me when I want to knit something small or have something that I can take with me if we're going to hockey practice or, you know, what have you. Okay, when Casey sent me that itty bitty Magner bag, he also incredibly generously sent me the jumbo sized Magner bag as well. This bag that I'm about to show you is holding the blanket that I'm working on for my friend who's expecting a baby in April. And it's very generous in size. So this is it. You can see by looking at this just how large this bag is. It's enormous. It's all waxed canvas and leather details, just like the other. It has really awesome pockets on the inside where I'm holding my patterns. There's grommets involved. There's other little side pockets here. It has like a little card included that shows you all the different colors. I appreciate that he kind of includes that information with the bag. This is an absolute, the generosity is just unreal. And I love this bag because I love it for large projects. So the project that is in this bag right now is my growing blanket that I'm making for my friend. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about this blanket because I've talked about it a lot, but you can just see here is what I have so far, and it's with super bulky yarn, and I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is the Winter Cuddler blanket by Mama in a Stitch, and it's gorgeous, and it's muffling my voice, I'm sure. But yeah, it's a really beautiful blanket, and I'm excited to have it finished. I'm on the second half of it now, but I can store this thing in here with the yarn that I need for the project, which is Loops and Threads for Michaels in their 80/20 acrylic alpaca yarn. I can keep this in the bag with the blanket, and it has, I mean, there's plenty of space. Like, just look at this. Hello. I mean, if you're knitting a really big sweater or just something very generous in size, this is like right down your alley. It's an investment, but it's a fantastic bag. The craftsmanship is fantastic. So that is the Magner jumbo size bag. Now that is the blanket for Mummy for my friend who's having a baby in April, like I mentioned. That blanket has been an absolute joy to knit, and it's got my fingers itchy for knitting another one as soon as I'm finished with that one, with the intention of putting it over the back of my knitting chair. I wanted something cozy that I could lay over the back of my knitting chair in our living room that kind of complements the color of the chair, because there are lots of splashes of like teal and orange and gold and kind of like a shell color and just lots of really fun, warm colors. So I wanted something to kind of go with that on the back of my chair. And I'm loving the patterns by Jessica Potaz, or Potash. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She is the maker behind Mama in a Stitch. Love her blanket patterns. And I don't know why I didn't bring the yarn with me, but I got some yarn that I'm going to use to make a blanket when I'm finished with that. I want to show you just a second. Okay. Here are the yarns that I'm going to be using for that. So these are, now this is going to be the main color of the blanket. And this is also an 80/20 blend, 80% acrylic, 20% alpaca. This is yarn produced in Turkey. It is the Buttercream Luxe Craft brand that Joanne sells. And I believe this brand is no longer like an active brand or in production brand, because I think they changed to the Knit and Crochet line or collection for Joanne. And it is also an 80/20. So this is the main color here, and it is called Taupe. That's what it is. And then these are the contrasting colors I'm going to be using. How pretty is that? Oh gosh, oh my goodness, I love them so much. Look at this green. It's just the perfect green. I have a colorway similar to this that I sell in the shop called Endor. And they're very similar. And I absolutely love this color of green. I think it's my favorite color of green ever. I just love it. So this one is called Evergreen, and this is the Knit and Crochet line of yarn. It's also 80% acrylic, 20% alpaca. It's beautiful. And then this is the pumpkin colorway, I believe. Look how pretty that is. What is this? No, Rust. I'm sorry. This is Rust. Gorgeous. And then this one, Sage. Ah, you guys, so pretty. Love it. I love the branding. That's nice. It just looks good. Joann is, you know, when it comes to big box craft stores, I love Michaels and Joann together. You can't have one without the other. I just think that they are great. I love them. But when it comes to yarn selection, Joann has it like on lock. I think that, I don't know, they just have they cater to knitters more so than Michaels does. Michaels caters to a lot of other things more than knitters. And, you know, it's like whatever is their clientele, I guess. I just feel that Joann does a really good job catering to knitters and fiber artists with their yarn collection, and then also to sewists with their fabric. Michaels is not a fabric store like Joann is, so obviously they're not going to carry fabrics for the most part, but I love shopping for yarn. If I have to choose the big box store, I love going to Joann because I know that their selection's just so much more exciting. But I love this. I love this so much. So this is going to be another blanket that I will be working on once my winter cuddler is finished. Now, I'm not exactly sure which... I'm going to put these on the floor. Now, I'm not super sure which design I'm going to do, but I'm going to share with you some options that I have. I'm going to stick with Jessica Potash or Potaz or Mama in a Stitch with her blanket patterns, because I just love them. And there's one in here in particular. Hold on. I'm just going to click on lots of things that don't take me where I need to go. So there is the Modern Mountain Throw Blanket. Oh, it's just so good. Okay, so the Modern Mountain Throw Blanket, I'll pop it up here. Absolutely gorgeous, really lovely chevron stitches. The only reason I'm not thinking about doing this is because I have multiple colors here, and I wanted a blanket that had multiple colors kind of integrated into the design. I feel like if I were to knit this blanket, I love this design as a one overall color design. So I think I'll save this for like a blanket down the road. But the one I am thinking of that I think would be good for integrating the multiple colors is the Winterland 3-stitch blanket. This particular blanket uses, I think, 3 different colors. Yeah, so you have Fisherman, Moonlight, and Oatmeal. Yeah, this uses 3 different colors of super bulky yarn. You can see it here how it's using 3 different colors, and I love the way that that's integrated. It's a very gentle contrast in this blanket here, but with these colors being as contrasty as they are, I think it'll look really lovely kind of in between that chunky seed stitch that you see on the blanket. So this is what I think I'm going to be knitting with that yarn. If you have any other suggestions, drop them down in the comment section, because I'm really inspired by that blanket back there to knit another super bulky, and this yarn is just giving me all the good vibes right now. So that is my plan once that blanket is off the needles, which it should be by the time we meet next. Fingers crossed that works out. Before I go on to anything else I'm going to mention here, I do want to let you know that the Wool Needles Hands Break the Curse knit along is currently going on right now, where we are knitting sweaters for a special man in our life. I have a sweater that I'm working on. However, I have not made any progress on that because I'm trying to work through a couple projects here, and then I was trying to finish my socks for Dad. You'll see more on my progress on that between now and the next episode of the podcast, whether it's on Instagram or just on the next episode of the podcast. So if you are participating in that knit along, keep posting over on Instagram so that I can keep sharing. Just know I'm working behind the scenes on that project. I'll have more to share with you on that on the next episode. But right now, a couple of things I wanted to share with you that are new. These are things that I casted on, I don't know, like about 2.5 weeks ago. And I wanted to cast on a sweater to have for when my Franken sweater was finished, which it's so close to being finished. And I know I have my Versal sweater that I can finish, and I know I have some other sweater quantities that have sweater patterns to go with them and all of that, but I wanted something different from what I've been knitting. I wanted something with texture. I just wanted the whole project to be different than my usual. And that's what this is. And the second thing I wanted to share with you here is a pattern that I wrote a few years ago that I'm kind of reworking. And I want to share kind of what I've gotten so far on that. So without further ado, let's talk about this new sweater that I've casted on, because I think you'll like it. These things are living in this project bag by Funky Firebird. Now, Funky Firebird is a business that is based out of Athens, Georgia, and the maker behind Funky Firebird, her name is Ashley, and her project bags are fabulous. So they are kind of this like tote bucket situation. Beautiful construction. They're in a really heavy canvas. This is not waxed. It's just basic cotton canvas, and it is ice dyed. So it kind of looks like a tie dye, but it's done using ice dyeing, which is a really interesting process that I love kind of exploring through pictures because it's so pretty. And then she uses repurposed leather for the handles. All of this is repurposed and recycled to create these really gorgeous leather handles. And despite what it looks like here, yeah, these little grommets that you see are not snaps. You can't detach the handle. That's just how it's fastened to the canvas. And inside there are two flat pockets for like larger paper or patterns or books or what have you. And then there are two skinny pockets for pens or needles or notions. It's just really thoughtful and nicely done without any kind of clutter on the inside. And it's lined with just really nice, kind of like a muslin cotton, really clean and nice. And I just absolutely love the look of these bags. So this is Funky Firebird. And what I have going on in here is the beginnings of a new sweater. This is all I have so far of the Honeycomb Aran sweater by Patons, or Patons, however you say that. This is a all over cabled sweater, knit flat and in pieces and seamed together. It is an absolutely gorgeous cabled design. I will pop pictures up so you can see it. I have my pattern here. It is free, which is amazing because this is just truly a lovely design. The sweater is gorgeous. The structure of the sweater is so nice. It lays on the shoulders really nicely. You can tell that it's seamed because it has that really nice seamed and tailored structure to it. And that's what I loved, and that's what caught my attention about this. Now, there are a couple of cabled sweaters that are out there right now that I'm sure you have seen by popular designers, and I love those too. But what I loved about this that I felt like those just didn't have was the structure. The way that it kind of has that, I don't know, like tailored look. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. It just looks solid. It looks well put together, you know, pun intended. And the cable panels and how they all work together, it's just classic. It looks like a classic Aran sweater. It's beautiful. And it's a free pattern, which is a huge bonus. So this is something that I've just recently casted onto, well, about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. I haven't been working on it very much. I just wanted to get it off the ground so that when I was finished with my Franken sweater, it was ready and waiting as a kind of a new endeavor in terms of sweaters for me. I have not knit a cable sweater ever. I've not knit a sweater in pieces for myself. And I've not knit a sweater in pieces successfully. The last time I tried to do that was a nightmare. It was for my husband and it was like 12 sizes too big. So I wanted to try something completely new. It's in pieces. It's going to be seamed. It's bottom up. It's cabled, and I'm excited to kind of go on this journey. I'm going to be taking it slow because I have other projects that I'm working on, and because it is so new, I want to take the time to do it right. I did swatch for this. I did meet gauge. I had to make an adjustment to my needle size, but I'm good to go otherwise. I'm a little nervous about it because it is not, you know, a try on as you go situation. You just have to really make sure all the measurements line up, but I'm confident. And so I wanted to share that with you guys today, and also to let you know that there is an absolutely gorgeous all over cabled sweater that is free if you're into knitting things in pieces, or if you want to take that plunge and give it a try with me. Just know you're in good company. And let me just say that the yarn I've chosen to knit this in, which is also Patons, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it Patons, guys, because it's just habit. I know that I'm not going to say Patons consistently. This is Patons Classic Wool Worsted. It's available at Joann. It's available on Amazon. It's inexpensive and it is fantastic yarn, especially if you want a nice rustic worsted weight yarn that's 100% untreated wool and you're on a budget. And this colorway is so good. So, I don't know what it is about this like kind of golden brown color that I'm super into right now. Kristen, if you're watching, you are knitting another Oslo hat in a very similar color to this. And you had made mention about how this color is just like calling your name right now and you really love it. Like, I absolutely know what you mean. There's something about this color that is just, I'm super into it right now. Rebecca from the Crayabea podcast, she did a design, an all over cable sweater, which is gorgeous. And what was that sweater called? Oh my gosh, I can't think of what that sweater, oh, it was such a cute name too. But anyway, it was a recent design that she just released, and her initial, well, one of her samples was knit in a color like this. And it was such an inspiring color for me. So when I saw that Joanne carried this particular color of Patton's Classic Wool Worsted, I jumped on it. And I knew that it would make such a gorgeous all over cabled sweater because Rebecca's is an all over cable and the color and all those cables just looked so great together. So I'm really, really excited. So this is called Brown Mustard. It's by Patton's or Payton's. It's classic wool worsted. Ugh, it is so pretty. I have a whole bunch of this just sitting in the cubbies in my stash with the intention of using it for this sweater. And I love looking at it. It's such an inspiring color. So that is going to be my Honeycomb Aran, a free pattern. Go get it so you have it if you want to take the plunge and knit, all of those intricacies into a new design. I'm super excited about it. Okay, now it has been a long time coming. I haven't mentioned this project on the podcast in, I want to say 2 episodes, and I'm excited to share it with you guys today. This is my Franken sweater, and it is coming along. It's so close to being done. I will be wearing this on the next episode of the podcast if the, temperature allows, if it's not too warm. But it is living in my Jezebel Bee bag. This is it's a leather arm project bag. Armlet, because you can hang this over your arm, but it's just a really generous size. All over genuine leather project bag by Jezebel Bee. It's part of her Le Rouge collection. I'm obsessed. It smells amazing, but that's what this is living in. Okay, here it comes. Y'all get ready. Make sure I can, okay. Da, 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 da. Wait, this is the front. Okay, here she is. It's gonna muffle my voice when I hold it up because my microphone's here and this beast is like armor. Get a load of that, you guys. How gorgeous is it? Okay, I'm gonna stand back so I can hold it up and kind of see what I'm doing at the same time. Let's move some things around here. Okay, I have finished the hemline. I did my tubular bind off, which I was calling a 3-needle bind off in the last episode of the podcast where I mentioned this, which this is not a 3-needle bind off. I was just throwing that out there like I knew what I was talking about, and I meant to say a tubular bind off, so I apologize. This was a tubular bind off, and I appreciate everybody who was like, no, that's not a 3-needle bind off, you're wrong. Because that is something I don't want to do and lead you down some rabbit hole that isn't going to help you. So this is a tubular bind off. Let's see, you can kind of see how lovely and rounded the edges are there. So nice. I just finished this. Of course, this isn't blocked, so it's going to be, neater and more tidy after I block it. And then I have completed one whole sleeve, and I am this far into the next sleeve, and here it is. You guys, it's coming along, man. Look at that. I love it. And if you know the saga, or if you've been around for the whole story of this sweater, you know that I had originally I had completed the body, and I had done a bunch of decreases and narrowed down for some waist shaping, which when I would wear it, and when I was trying it on, it was just cinching in too much. It was too tight. And instead of tinking back or ripping back, I had to just cut the bottom of the sweater off because I'm knitting with Surrey. Ripping back is just a nightmare. So I cut the bottom of the sweater off, reattached my yarn, my needles, and then reattached my yarn and knit the bottom of the sweater again without those decreases so that it has more you know, the circumference is wider and it fits me so much better now. I cannot wait to show you how this fits. It's beautiful. I'm so proud and I'm so happy that I took the time to go back and make that modification. And then my sleeves, this first sleeve is really lovely on. I did not shape the sleeve. I wanted it to be a nice, generous, straight sleeve. And then I wanted to do a rapid decrease at the bottom to create a little bumped out cuff line right there. And I just think it looks so nice. And then again, a tubular bind off here. So that is where I am with my Franken sweater. I am knitting this using Lion Brand Fisherman's wool. We all love Lion Brand Fisherman's wool for the most part. Some of you don't, and that is okay. This is such a gorgeous yarn. I love the tweed of this yarn. It's lovely. And I am pairing that with undyed Surrey silk. So this is a really lovely kind of a sport weight 70-30, 70% baby alpaca, Surrey alpaca, 30% silk. And I'm using this, pairing it with the fisherman's wool to give it that really lovely, soft and sumptuous halo. And I just want to hug it and squish on it because it is so cozy. So there you go, guys. That is the status on the Franken sweater. It is almost alive and I cannot wait for that to happen. Now, I don't have any spinning to share with you today because the spinning I have been doing is still on the bobbin on Lanita behind me. So that's not going to be something I share with you today, but I wanted to tell you how this gorgeous Funky Firebird project bag and this very generous quantity of Lion Brand Fisherman's wool could become yours. Now, I am not going to use the G word because I don't want to beckon the trolls and the bots and all the scammers to come over to this video. So we're not going to use that word, okay? We're going to call this a send-off. This is my 36K send-off. It doesn't rhyme. Usually that G word rhymes with the K part of the, you know what? But it doesn't matter. I'm doing this because I had intended on doing a 30K send-off and it just, things got away with me and I hadn't had a chance. Well, here we are at 36K, moving towards 37K, and it blows my mind every day. And I am so grateful for all of you. For all of you here who express joy in the content and find joy and inspiration from this content and choose to subscribe and come back again and again to watch, you don't know how much you mean to me. So thank you. I am grateful to you. You make it go round and I love you for that. So this is going to be kind of my way of doing a little for 36K or whatever arbitrary number. It's just a way to tell you that I love you for all of the support that you provide here at Wool Needles Hands. You guys are very special. So what I'm going to do is I will be sending this project bag. This is Funky Firebird. That's the same as the one I shared with you back here. It's so gorgeous. Like it's so good. Like, look at this. Look at the tags. How, like, it's so awesome. And then this is, like we talk about a lot, Lion Brand Fisherman's wool. This is the natural brown color. This all together here, let's do quick math. This is 1,860 yards of worsted weight yarn in the form of Lion Brand Fisherman's wool. So that's a very generous quantity of yarn. Now, whether or not that's enough to make a sweater for you or whatever, it's a very generous amount of yarn. So it's a good place to get started. And that would translate to 1,700 meters. Okay, this could be yours. All I want you to do for this, and I don't want you to use that word anywhere in your comment. Please subscribe to the channel. If you would like to have, to have this be yours, subscribe to the channel. Show me your support. Become a faithful subscriber to the Wool Needles Hands channel in general. That means a lot to me. It helps the channel to grow, and it makes this something that I can do feasibly, consistently for the long haul. In the comments down below, use the hashtag sendoff. Hashtag sendoff, all one word, and leave me a comment. Anything you'd like to say. And thank you for participating in this send-off because I'm really excited to send this off to somebody, whoever you may be, because it's really, really gorgeous stuff. The yarn is lovely. You know how I feel about Lion Brand Fisherman's wool, and this project bag, you guys, is fabulous. I have lost the light because the sun has decided to slip behind a cloud, so things have gotten a little bit moody in here, and that's fine. So do those things, get yourself entered into this send-off, and I will announce the lucky individual who is going to receive this send-off in the next episode of the podcast, so stay tuned for that. Y'all, it has been a joy spending this time with you today. Thank you so much for taking your time to come and hang out with me and listen to me gab about my projects. It's always so uplifting to be here with you guys. You guys are fantastic. I hope that whatever you're doing, you are cozy and you are inspired and you are finding joy. If you took any value from today's video or enjoyed yourself at any point, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click that bell icon so that you can be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday. And if you would like to show some additional support for the channel, don't forget to check out the Wool Needles Hands merch shop. Products that I sell in the merch shop are listed down below the video. Check them out. There's some really good conversation starters over there. I'm sure there is something that you would love, and purchasing something as small as a coffee mug is a great way to show financial support for the work that I'm doing here at Wool Needles Hands. It is absolutely appreciated. In the meantime, until the next time that we see each other, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.